Hello and welcome to the Gin Weekly Update for Friday, September 14th, 2018. I'm Joel Yeast, reminding you to embrace the simple things in life. Hold on to your inner child. Do something spontaneous. Be good to your family members and surprise them. And most of all, don't forget to let go of your old bad habits. Otherwise, you're going to end up like this guy. Dr. Tom has a whole bunch of updates for you, including the Germany event, which is this weekend right now. Dr. Tom?
Hello, I'm Dr. Tom, and I'd like to welcome you to this Friday's update. And as you're watching this, we have an incredible event going on in Germany. A special shout out and a thank you go to Peter and Claudia Kuesters, of course, for being the hosts of this spectacular event. Lee Kinney is there as well and sharing the beautiful knowledge that we have inside the world of gin. A couple of level 7 senior officers there, Catherine, Rossi and Jojan, are all going to be making special presentations to bring in new members of this family. And I will tell you that every single level is registered to be represented there. From level 7s to 6s to 5s to 4s to 3s to 2s to 1s to affiliates to guests. It will be a spectacular event. And for those that are already in the family, congratulations. And those that are considering joining this week, this will be your first Friday update that you'll get to watch. So welcome to the club. It's great to have you here. And I know that you just bathing and basking in that energy of that amount of leadership and those quality individuals that have an energetic understanding of what's going on and how this works. And, you know, we often talk about how it is all energy, and it's true. It is all energy. And I want you to think for just a moment, just position yourself and think about how you receive energy and, even as importantly, how you transmit energy. Meaning that you receive energy from others, from the cosmos, from whatever you do in life. You not only receive that energy, but then it processes and it has an impact and effect on you and who you are. And that then in turn gets returned to the universe because this energy just flows through us. And as that energy returns to the universe, are you giving out more than you're receiving? Are you becoming a transmitter that allows people to feel better in your presence so that they grow? So that when people begin to tell you, I don't even know what it is about you. I don't know what it is about when I'm around you. I don't know what happens when our families get together, but we always feel better. We always feel better. The reason you feel better is because you're receiving information, you're receiving energy, you're giving that information, you're giving that energy. And when you can surround yourself with those like-minded people, it becomes very specific what kind of energy you emit. What kind of energy do you put out? You know, to use an analogy, it's kind of like when you want to listen to something on the radio, well, I'm going to date myself here for a moment. We used to have dials that you would actually turn the dial to tune into a new frequency. And a specific frequency might be country music, it might be classical music, it might be classical rock music, it might be jazz, it might be any kind of genre of music that you listen to. I want you to understand that they're all frequencies. It's just a matter of going a little bit up the dial or down the dial, or now punching a digital button, or now it's voice command. You can actually just tell your radio what to go to. And understanding that most of us don't understand everything about how a radio works. We don't understand how you speak into a microphone. It's carried wirelessly or through a cord to some instrument that has a lot of different components that then transmit something over a wavelength that you can't see. Yet there's another piece of equipment that receives that then transfers it back into some medium that we can put into some kind of a device and turn it on and listen to it, turn it up, make it louder or quieter or softer, or you can change the channel, if you will. All of those things are possible. It's not important that you understand the how of all that works. You see, we talk in gin about not understanding that. Don't worry about the how. Just get the frequency right. Tune into the right frequency. You know, it doesn't matter if you use the analogy of radio or television or radio came first and then TV, and it was a marvel and changed the planet. And now we've gone into cell phones and, phones and then cell phones and now smartphones, where you can get virtually anything that's on TV, you can get onto your phone and carry it virtually anywhere in the world where you can get some kind of reception. And so rather than worrying about how all of that works, because I don't understand how all of that works, I just understand that it works. And so since those principles are understood by so many people, it's a relatively easy conversation. Many people do not understand the concept of you being an energy being. That's one of the beautiful tenets of Jen. I'm talking about it being all energy. You've all had times in your life when you were around people and you felt them. I mean, there's something about getting around people. You don't know their name, you've not been introduced, you know nothing about them, yet you feel very comfortable. Most everyone can relate to that. There's been a time in their life when they were standing beside someone and they had that feeling, if you will. And likewise, there have been times in your life when you're standing next to someone and you have the opposite feeling, where you're thinking, this has been long enough already. I don't get a good vibe. I don't get a good feel. We have phrases for this. Something just doesn't feel right. It's that first impression before anybody even speaks. There's an energy connection that's going on. And I want you to understand that this is something that is based on what you transmit and what others receive. This is a communication that's going on that you don't have to understand the how. You just have to understand that it is, and that it does happen. And it happens regularly because it's one of those energetic laws of the universe. And whatever, whatever you put out there, you're going to attract things similar to that. So the more positive influence you are on others, the more positive people will come into your life that will make it easier for you to be able to have those kinds of conversations and life-changing kinds and types, so you can actually combine words. It gives you the ability to communicate with a different group of people. This past weekend I was in Seattle doing a training, and in that training, one of the practitioners came up to me and he said, we were talking about how long they'd been involved with us inside Best, and he said, actually, I've been studying this work for 18 years. And I want to tell you that 18 years ago, I came to a class in this very city here in Seattle. And that day changed my life. And I kind of stepped back and said, wow, that's quite a statement. And he said, let me explain. That day, I was exposed to something that I was unaware of. And I didn't understand how this energy stuff worked. And since then, I have worked on literally hundreds of people a year, for years. So there have been thousands of lives impacted by a single day, a single event that started 18 years ago. You see, you never know when you're going to have a conversation with someone, when you're going to be around someone that has an impact on you like that. And when we begin to understand how powerful we are and how we can impact others and how many lives can be affected. I've shared the story recently about reconnecting with Kevin, and we did it on a fishing trip. And as a result of that fishing trip over the last 10 years, tens of thousands of lives, I would venture to say literally hundreds of thousands of lives, have been impacted by that relationship being rekindled or renewed. And I was reminded of that by this conversation this past weekend in Seattle, because I understood that what we do when we impact others, it impacts others that impact others, and it keeps going. And that positive energy that I was able to share some 18 years ago has now impacted people that I will never meet personally. Yet they will begin to understand how energy works and how it's important to keep your body balanced and how it's important to understand receiving and giving energy and love and information and relationships. And so I have an ask for you this week. I don't always ask you to do something this week, but this week I'm going to, because I was so moved by that reconnection. It reminded me of reconnecting with Kevin and the benefit that's happened to Jen, and so it's time to give more back to Jen. And what I would like to do this week is to ask you to reconnect with two people 2 people, just 2 people in 7 days. You get to pick the days, you get to pick the people. 2 people that you have not spoken to in a while. People that you were, quote, friends with or business partners with or associates with or that you just knew that you just liked. Maybe you were in a club with them. Maybe you were in a civic organization with them. Maybe you went to church with them. Maybe your kids played soccer and you had fun with them. And then as life continued, they grew in one direction, you grew in another direction. For no apparent purpose, there was never a flashpoint that said, I don't want to be friends with you, I don't want to see you anymore. You just drift in your own directions. And so I'm going to ask you, there are no strings attached to this conversation. It's just simply, I ask you to reconnect with 2 people in your life that you haven't spoken with in at least a year. 2 people, at least a year is the timeline. Call them on the phone. That's my first choice for you. It's much more personal than sending them an email or a text. Just call them up and say, hey, I was just checking in. You see, people will be so taken aback by that because typically when someone you haven't talked to, they're trying to sell you something, they're going to show you something. There's a motive, there's an agenda. There is no agenda other than reconnecting with people. It will bring up memories and it will put a smile on your face and it will have you grow and it will change the energy that you transmit based on renewing a relationship of your past. Just check in with them. Just check in with them. 2 people, 7 days, haven't talked to them in at least a year. See what happens. Watch what happens. You know, I was reading a quote this morning, and I get these regularly, and this one was a particular quote by Paul Bear Bryant, who was the famous football coach here in the United States. And he talked about the difference in people winning and losing, and one of his statements talked about the will to win. He said, it's not the will to win that has you succeed, because everyone has the will to win. It's the will to prepare to win that separates you. It's the will to prepare to win that separates you. And that's the beauty of gin. Because gin prepares you for life. Gin prepares you for the will to win. It gives you the tools. It gives you the fundamental pieces of information. It gives you the concept of energy so that you can grow, so that you can share that with your circle of influence, so you can share that with your family, and you can impact people for generations to come. It is truly, truly the will to prepare. Are you prepared for life? I hope so. That's our goal inside the world of gin. Thank you so much for being a part. Until next week, back to you, Joel.
Thank you, Dr. Tom. Well, that's the weekly update for Friday, September 14th, 2018. For Dr. Tom, this T-Rex, and the rest of the Gin family, I'm Joel Yeast. We'll see you again next week.